whenever we're all ready. I'm ready. Oh wait, maybe not. No, I haven't. Fuck. Oh, there's stream. Hi.
Alright, and I gotta turn the sound all the way down off. Otherwise, I'll be hearing a lovely echo of myself. Do I want... Let's open another thing. How do I find...
Let's see.
Oh, I just need to go there. And then videos.
Yay. Okay, so that's open. That's gonna stay open for now. I'm gonna close this. I think this is such bullshit there. And then, great.
Here is...
Okay.
There it is. Fuck, that was 5 years ago?
What was 5 years ago?
You'll see. Hang on. It's something for later.
Oh, okay.
How do I... Wait! Don't... How do I tell it? Settings? Or do I have to go somewhere else? I bet you I have to go. Okay. Ooh! I'm burping up my late lunch.
Tasty.
This is when it pays to be single.
Sure, I guess. You can do it when you're partner too, just as long as you're both okay with it.
Well, I just don't think anybody wants to be dealing with my nasty breath right now. Let's go with this. Yes. Okay. Shut up, YouTube. Criminy sakes. Driving me nuts. Oh, alright. Let me copy this. Go back to the dock. I'm gonna paste that there. We're gonna go back. And we're trying to get the other one. But I don't know what it looks like. You guys can't hear that, right?
Nope.
No.
Because I have no idea what you're talking about, so I'm assuming nope.
We can hear you.
What can you hear?
You like murmuring
Singing
to yourself?
along to something.
I'm not singing though.
I don't know what the words
It's my
were.
jam.
Sounds like you're quietly singing to yourself. You're singing along to something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready. Damon's ready. Just waiting on you, Gary.
Right ahead.
Okay. Do the son bitch. Scroll down. It's November 5th, 2017. I'm Jeff.
Who's your bear? That's right. I am your bear.
I'm Damon.
And that makes me Gary.
Don't hurt nobody with your bad self.
And welcome to Cubs Out Loud, the Bear Podcast of Indeterminate Length, episode number 439. And Chester's on assignment. I forgot what he was doing. Hold on.
Getting hash marks.
Yeah.
He said something specifically.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. Shoot. Where's it? Fuck.
We are so prepared today.
I know.
Super prepared. Ha.
I don't remember. He's getting hash marks. There we go. Anyways. Let's do this. Okay, Damon,
Okay.
What's up with you?
Wow. So I guess there's this thing called BlizzCon going on. I'm assuming.
Well, went on.
Yeah.
It's, it was only a 2-day thing. It's over already, but so you got
But it's
the
over.
app.
Okay, so there was this thing called BlizzCon. Okay.
The app was
So,
being dumb, but that's beside it. Anyways, go ahead.
Well, anyway, for me, besides the stuff we're going to be talking about later, I went last night to one of Jim's coworkers had a fundraiser for her. Well, friends of hers had a fundraiser. She's been dealing with some medical issues, and they had a fundraiser to kind of raise money to help her deal with that. It was at Entertainment Junction here in town, which is a big. It's the largest setup train, mobile, not mobile. Miniature trains all over, it's big, it's massive, it's a big setup, and they were having a fundraiser for her. They had a raffle, they had a split the pot, but it was free food, and you were paying for alcoholic beverages, but you got sodas and stuff for free, and there was face painting and all that stuff. It was a lot of fun. They raised, I believe, when we left, they had raised over $3,000, which is pretty awesome. So it was a good time. I've never been to Entertainment Junction, so it was nice to finally get to that place. It's out in Westchester, I believe. It was, like I said, it was a good time. Good time to be around people and see people I don't normally see and see a space I've never been to. So Jim and I went last night. And I'm talking about that over the other things that have been going on, which we will be discussing later. Gary.
Yeah, so I'm like in recovery mode. Fall has arrived, so the weather is very menopausal. It's been cold and wet and clammy, and then it's been, like spike weird warm fronts that move through. So people can't figure out what to do. Like, is today a shorts and t-shirt kind of day, or is it a, like a double flannel layer moo kind of day? Or, I mean, you're just trying to figure out what you're doing. So, but last night, after working on some non-paycheck stuff, as I like to call it now, then I turned around and took my mom out, and we did some grocery shopping, and then came home and helped her get all her stuff unpacked, and then quickly came home, changed clothes, and went over and visited the house full of cubby pup boys because it was Vince's birthday.
Yay!
I made it over just before midnight to wish him a happy birthday, and then stayed for basically 5 hours and watched them play games and YouTube and drank, and then got hungry. So Vince took me on a food run to a local convenience store where I ordered way too much goddamn food. Made to order and then took it back and stuff. So yeah.
Nice.
So I'm kind of like, I'm trying to recover today. My body is not happy with me at all.
Aww.
So yeah. But it was very cool.
And you had an extra hour.
Yeah, and I should have probably made use of it to sleep, but show did not do that. But no, it was good. Griffin came into town to visit, and Celtic moved in with them, so there's the house full when they came and visited.
No.
So it was cool. In fact, I had to laugh because Zio knew that I was going before I knew for certain I was going. Funnier. Because they were all chatting amongst each other while I was wrapping it, helping Mom. So yeah.
Nice.
The topic is Gary.
Topic is y'all know each other and I'll talk to each other on Messenger and shit. And then, well, because they were gaming and they had their headset on, and they were using Twitch. So on Twitch, you can watch people game, and if they have their headset, like, you can hear them and stuff. So there was conversation going on. So that's how Zio in Maryland knew before I knew I was going over, because I get a message that says, have fun going and seeing the boys. I was like,
what the hell?
I was like, I'm not even, like, I wasn't confirmed I was going over yet or not. Like, I wanted to, but I didn't know what they were doing. I thought they were, they might have had plans or something. It was, it's V's birthday. I don't know what he's doing.
He can do what he wants. Anyways, moving into this.
Now, whoever thought we'd be doing commercials?
I know I sure as heck didn't.
Being that we're a smaller scale podcast, we don't have advertisers knocking down our door to give us money, and that's okay.
Which is why we want to take a moment and tell you about 2 really great ways you can support Cubs Out Loud.
Over the past 9 years, COL has produced hundreds of audio episodes, and now we have matching video episodes for you to enjoy.
This year, we introduced the new COL logo and launched our new merch store over at Zazzle.com/CubsOutLoud.
Or you can also use the COL merchandise link on our podcast website to pull up the online store.
Here you can take a look through a range of products, including t-shirts, hats, poker chips, underwear, backpacks, and various other things with the COL logo on them.
And keep an eye out for new things to be added based on your interests and requests.
We typically can be found showing these great items off in the video stream of our shows.
Also, to help with our new format, we're doing YouTube video shows that help create the audio version. We have a GoFundMe campaign underway at gofundme.com/COLstream.
This campaign allows us to afford upgrading the PC that Jeff uses to produce our shows. Plus, a better computer means better quality streams.
And thanks in advance for not only listening to Cubs Out Loud, but helping support the podcasts too.
I'm wearing my really nice, or at least I think really nice, my white sleeveless Cubs Out Loud shirt. Well, sometimes it's the shoulder part of it that's like right before the sleeves feels almost like they're like shoulder pads from the 80s sometimes.
Oh.
Okay.
Wow.
So it gets kind of weird, but...
And I've got my traditional dark burgundy or maroon, whatever color you want to call it, Cubs Out Loud shirt. I would stand up, but yeah, you can see it. Oh, wait, there you go. Aha, logo. Ugh.
Look at the breastages. Admire them.
Yes. Look at the boobage.
I am showing off new duds today.
Oh?
Yeah. This is a charcoal gray hoodie that I got because not that there's anything wrong with my chocolate brown one, but I wanted to get a different color and something. So,
sweet. Did you buy this recently with the 30% off sale?
I bought it actually probably about 2 months ago.
Oh.
I've just had it for a while. I haven't had the occasion yet to wear it,
Sure.
and so, yeah. No, I'm trying to think. I mean, I did buy it on sale. I don't think I've bought hardly anything from Zazzle not on sale, to be honest.
Yeah,
They always seem to have a sale, so...
Yeah.
I just kind of wait for the 30 or the 40% offs on apparel. Like,
yeah. Like every time so far it has happened, it's been like right around the time, oh, I need to pay like the mortgage. So, yeah.
Priorities.
I kind of need to make sure the mortgage gets paid. As much as I want to buy, and support and what have you, but I should be, responsible and not spend all my money on clothing and instead, keep the lights on and the house over the roof over my head as opposed to so
well, and that's where like I have a glowing closet of things now, so I'm like, yeah, I'm probably like kind of chilling out a little bit. Like I might get 1 or 2 more things over time, but I'm at a pace now of about one every other month or every 3 months. I might pick up something, and it's just kind of like what strikes my fancy. And interestingly, their category, like their inventory of stuff, they're closing out apparently some forms of shirts and other things. So it's a little weird because I go on and I'm kind of like, oh, I think I might want to, and then I'm like, oh, apparently they're not going to carry that anymore because you don't have that. So it's not so much like they're not going to have hooded sweatshirts. It's just like in the hooded sweatshirts, I think there's maybe 3 different styles or manufacturers. So I think they're trying to streamline the variety of product stuff.
Is appropriate. If you get too much, like that's one of the things I tend to have a problem with, which is, a good problem to have is when I go and look for stuff, I'm like, oh wow, look at all this stuff I can like put the logo on. Like, and I want to be like, let me just look at this one thing. I think I know what I kind of want next, and I will keep on an eye out for it.
Let me guess, you're gonna go for the camo print tee?
No. No.
one of the 2 tie-dyes, maybe?
No.
Because those are fun. I've thought a little bit about those. I was like, ooh, the tie-dye one might be kind of fun.
Yeah, so if you're ever over in the store and you want an item, just because I have a certain look to the original one, there usually is options, such as the bandana. So that can be in plenty of different options to fit your
needs.
Pocket.
There you go.
Either left or right.
Ha! Ba-dum-bum.
And not that I'm trying to code anything, but...
Got it.
Anyways, let's go into this. Gary, what's been going on over in the Facebook land?
A whole lot of things, and I'm not going to talk about all of it, so there you go.
Okay.
No, I'm not trying to be shitty, but like there's some back and forth, like some comments on stuff. Chester, who's on assignment right now, took a picture of him wearing one of those creepy, like, kind of mascot-y bear heads, announcing that it was November.
Yes.
So some people were kind of commenting on that. But we did get 3 new Facebook likes, at least I think if I'm trying to keep up correctly. So we want to thank the following people for liking us on Facebook, and that would be Catalin Stellion Shanks, Andy Cummings, and Gordito Lorenzo. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yay. Oh, and then we did get some comments. I didn't put them in here for our last episode where we had Joshua Pangborn on for Skeleton Crew. Barbara Thomas, who's in the series, liked, I think, either the post or the comment, and then Ashley, dang it, I can't remember her last name, who plays Piper, and Apollonia, who I think I said reminds me of Lainey Kazan. She was like, "Oh my god, I love this," or something like that. And I turned around and I was like, "Oh, hi, Lainey. I mean, Ashley." And then she thought that was highly complimentary and stuff. So she was quite pleased by that.
Yay.
So yeah, so they've gotten a little bit of love from us, and vice versa. So
cool.
That's kind of that. Mr. Damon, what's been going on over in YouTube?
So over on YouTube, we've got several new subscribers. Kelvin Cabrera, Matt Gillis, Alex Pilu, Andy C, Paul Antzulis, James Butterfield, who is from Louisville, hello, and Al Teron Robinson. Welcome.
Hello.
Hopefully you'll be joining us live one of these days, if not today.
If you're not already live.
Well, Kelvin was actually... The Kelvin one actually came in, like, in the middle of the show during the Skeleton Crew one. But it missed the feedback section. Otherwise, we would put that. So.
Nice.
Just to let you know that. And with that, let's get right into the topic. Basically, I get to sit here and listen to both of your stories about your travels.
So who's going first? Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
You are the far more Carmen Sandiego of the two of us at the moment, my dear. So why don't you kind of catch us up on the who, what, where, when of your
Sure.
your travels. What? I'm just.
You have to watch the live show to see that look.
I have assumptions. That's all. I mean, it's not.
Right.
Nothing in particular.
Right. Anyway, so 2 weekends ago, the 20th, 21st, I actually went back down to Louisville. This was for a special occasion. My brother was getting married to his longtime girlfriend, Shauna, and that was kind of awesome. He had asked me, over a year ago to be a groomsman, and I agreed to do that because I thought it was a really nice gesture. The tux, he told us months ago what to do and everything else, and then we had been texting back and forth about what's going to happen and all the details, which was kind of nice. So I got in Friday evening, checked into a hotel, which is a microtel, which if you've never been to a microtel, they are micro. Like, it is very small. The room is probably maybe 8 by 12 or something like that. It's not particularly large. And when you put a bed in there and a desk of some kind, it kind of shortens the space. But, it's a microtel, and it's called a microtel for a reason. So I wasn't expecting massive amenities and what have you. So there was that. The wedding went very well. I got up Saturday morning to get ready, and then he picked me up. We went to his place, and that's where I was for the next 3-4 hours. I got a haircut. The other groomsmen showed up, and then we all got, gotten our tuxes and everything else. And I got to talk to my brother a couple of times and kind of calmed his nerves. He was very, very nervous, which I was trying to get him to understand that there's nothing really different. Nothing has really changed. You guys have been living together for a while. You've been together for so long. The only thing that's really changed is that you're just sort of saying the vows and all that stuff. So nothing is changing. I tried to kind of get him to understand that. I think it helped a little, but you know. And then we went to this where the ceremony was being held, which was also where the reception was going to be held. It was a very short ceremony, but a very long reception. And since I was a groomsman, there was all the pictures that needed to be taken and all that stuff and blah, blah, blah. I got to see my family. My mom came and her side of the family. My dad was supposed to be there, but he was not feeling well, so he decided not to come. And then, but I did see his younger brother, who is my uncle, Uncle Tommy, and some of his family were there. So that was nice. Haven't seen any of them in 10 years, if that. So nice. You know, the ceremony went really well. Met a lot of people. The highlight, quote unquote, for me personally, is I came out to my cousin. My cousin Sean has been following me on Facebook, and he's been opening the door ever so often. Every time we've seen each other at Thanksgiving, I just have not been willing to talk to him about it. But he kind of came up to me, and he was like, "Hey, so you know, I've been looking at your Facebook, and I would see that you liked an event and that you're going to an event." And then I'd look at the event and I was like, oh, so events that I've been going to were kind of a like, you know, pretty big. Hey, yeah. So I got to finally talk to him and told him officially, that's what I usually say. Like, I came out officially, meaning I don't really.
Officially.
I don't officially.
I already knew, but I actually said it.
like I have a few cousins that are friends with me on Facebook, and no offense, I decided many years ago that I'm not gonna like hide or cover a whole lot in Facebook because it's just too much to kind of filter. Unless I set up a separate profile for all the gay things, there's just not going to be a real thing to do. So I said, forget it, and don't worry about it. I'm just going to let it happen, and if people have questions, they can ask questions. This is the first time one of my cousins who is on my Facebook actually said something or asked something about it, which is cool. You know, again, each one comes to their own understanding. Yeah, so there was that. The wedding went well. The reception was long but fine, and then I went home. I came home Sunday. My mom drove me to the Greyhound, and that was cool. So, and then I got home. I was home for 3 days. And then on Thursday, I flew out to Portland, Oregon, for another visit with friends that I have there, Nate and Mutt. And I actually got to see Robert. I got to hang out with Robert, who used to be on the show, which we saw. If you've been following us on Facebook, you'll see the picture.
His fiance, right?
Yes, his fiance, Mike.
Yay!
I also got to meet Phil, who that was really nice. He is so like nice and sweet and cute and like adorable, and I want to put him in my pocket. And
yeah, he fucking is.
So, so Friday was pretty much the day that I spent with Robert and Mike. We went to lunch, and then I went with Phil to dinner, and we got to hang out and watch TV and all kinds of stuff. And Portland was great. I got to hang out with my friends Nate, aka Mutt, and his partner Glenn. We had dinner at their place. I didn't do a whole lot of things. Like in years past, I went to Multnomah Falls, which I couldn't go to this year because of there was a fire nearby, and apparently the area has been closed indefinitely while they deal with some of the after effects of that. Because what Mutt told me is they have found out that a lot of the rocks and things that were being held together by moss, and when the fire came through, it kind of killed the moss, and so things are kind of falling apart. So they have to redo everything to make sure that everything's safe. Yeah, so that was that. So I didn't go there. and I didn't do a whole lot of those kind of things, but I did. If you saw my Facebook, make it on Monday. Was it Monday? Yeah, Monday afternoon. I went to the Lansu Chinese Garden, which was amazing. It was this beautiful. It's this beautiful, like the way that the tour guide tells us that years ago, Portland has a sister city in China called Shaozu, if I remember the name right, and the sister city years ago came and they had a year. They spent a year and they built this garden, and the purpose of the garden is kind of to reflect a scholar. It's where he would live back in the ancient Chinese times, and we're now viewing it as. And the correct kind of told us how, if you were a guest, where you would have normally gone, and then you get to see the family side of it where you wouldn't normally see if you were just a guest. So it was kind of really, really cool. If you saw my pictures, it was that's obviously taking a picture with the phone. You can't really get the beauty and serene about it, especially considering that it is on a city block, and if you go out the door and to your left or to your right, you see like buildings, and it's a part of Chinatown, but Chinatown's kind of you see buildings, and you see like downtown, and you see very modern kind of structures, and then you go into this garden and you're taken back in time. So that was my trip overall. Yes, I had fun, as Gary alluded to. Not so much in Louisville, because Louisville was I made a point to make Louisville about my brother, so everything that I did in Louisville was more like what he wanted to do. So on Friday night while I was there, I went to his bachelor party, which wasn't really if you think of the traditional bachelor party, it was more of we were at a restaurant and we had beers and drank and ate dinner, as opposed to going to like a strip club or anything like that. He didn't want strippers, which thank God. So,
honey, these aren't the type of strippers I'm looking for.
But it was a good time. I drank. Had a really awesome. I forget what it was called, but it was a Southern sweet tea, but it wasn't a an actual Long Island iced tea. It had like sweet tea vodka and actual like homemade sweet tea and lemon something, but it was really fucking good. But that was the main drink I had, and then I had like beer and what have you. And
sounds delicious.
It was really good. So yeah, that's been my past 2 weeks. I came back on Halloween, and I was able to do a little bit of Halloween here at the house. Jim, unfortunately, it's funny, while I was gone, he had an accident at work and sprained his foot.
Oh no!
So he's better now, but he was hobbling around on Tuesday when I came back. Fortunately, we had already made plans for friends to pick me up, so he didn't have to worry about that. We knew we wanted to have someone here to start Halloween because our house or our neighborhood gets swamped with kids. Like I don't know. I think they're busting them in. I don't see half the kids. I'm fair. They like cars are parked. No, they're not busting them in. They're driving them in. But they park cars will park on the street, and they'll come out, and they're from everywhere. And we don't disappoint.
Well, girl, I don't want to this isn't being shady, but you do live in a decent part of the city, so. Yeah. I know that it happens all the time now. It did not happen as much as I know when we were kids and we did Halloween, but I know people legitimately will pack vans full of family kids, leave their neighborhood, and go to a whole other neighborhood.
Yeah.
Where they might give out full-size candy bars and shit. And I'm like, really?
Yeah. That's what. So I think that was the case because we were literally driving around. We took a long way home from the airport due to traffic, and we were looking around and we didn't see any kids. Like, it was 6 o'clock, 6:30 by the time we were getting to the house, and it's like, there are no kids anywhere. And then we finally get to within a few blocks of my house, and oh, there are the kids. We almost ran some over. They were walking across the street like they were Superman.
Well, it's Halloween. Of course they're gonna do that. I hope they had at least like reflective clothing or some with a flashlight. Come on.
All that shit is so gone from the 70s and 80s where we grew up, and it was, reflective like tape or bright colors, and you had a flashlight and glow sticks. I mean, all that stuff that we were like raised in terms of like safety and all that kind of crap. Hell no, I don't see any of that happening anymore.
I don't either. Like we did. I see a few flashlights now and then, but this was right before sunset. So I'm assuming they thought they would be seen, but whatever. Anyway.
So here, I don't know if you did it this year, but here's something I suggest just as a fun thing for next year. What I think you should do is like take a Post-it note or two, or have a pad or something next to your door, and just count how many you get.
I've thought about that because we actually this year, again for the third year in a row, we ran out of candy. But we ran out of candy about 7:30, and it goes till 8. So it's been one.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Where we've been trying to figure out what to do, and I think we know what we're going to do next year, which unfortunately for the kids means they're only going to get a piece, as opposed to we started with 2. Like we're starting with giving everyone 2 pieces, and now we've come to the realization that we can't do that and have candy for the entire time. We have to.
It's always in my family. We've always kept track. It's always been 1 per kid, and we've had special things for the people that we know, like neighbors and such. But otherwise, just the regular kids, just get 1. Never, no, don't do 2. And I don't know about you, but yeah, full size candy bars would be awesome. But when I was trick or treating, I was perfectly content with just the fun size ones, or just a thing of Smarties or something like that.
Yeah.
So
like I've always been it's always been interesting to me. We were at actually a neighbor that I ride the bus with was talking to me about how she had a little girl. She was giving out like Smarties or something like that, and then she had like a little thing of blow pops that she would give for special kids, or something that she particularly liked. If she liked their costume, or thought they did a really good job, or whatever, or she knew them really well, she said, "I've given them a blow pop instead of the little Smarties or whatever." And she said that she had a 3-year-old girl come up to her dressed in a princess dress or something like that, and she thought it was really cute, so she gave her a blow pop. And the little girl said, "Do you have any chocolate?" And said it with the attitude of a teenager, like, "Do you have any chocolate?" Like
you mean a blow pop?
Yeah. And the mother fortunately was there, and she was like, "No, I gave you a blow pop, which is kind of special." And the mother was like, "What did she say?" And she told her, and she's like, "We don't say that." Da 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 da. And they had a little. Took her away and blah blah blah. But it was just kind of funny and cute that she was like, she had like almost hand on the hip, kind of like,
"Girl, you didn't give me chocolate."
Yes, so it was cute, but I was laughing at that. I don't think we had that. We did have. You should have alternative for the blow pop. You should have had like a Tootsie Pop, because that has chocolate because of the Tootsie Pop in it, and be like, "Oh, that's fine." And just switch them, and it's basically the same thing. Just no gum. So yeah, it was cool. So it was a good time, and I'm glad to be back on the show and all that stuff. It was good seeing Robert and meeting Phil and seeing Mike again, who I haven't seen in a while. So yeah, nice. Gary, how about you?
Well, that's so cool. I'm happy that you had a good time away. Although something occurred to me, I think today, it was quite possible that we wouldn't have even had you today. Because isn't the retreat this weekend?
Yeah, it would have been this weekend, yeah. if I were singing a holiday concert, yes, I wouldn't have been here this weekend either. I would have been actually in Clifty Falls and Madison. I would have been away.
Yeah.
but I'm not singing the concert this year, so I'm here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget about that. I realized that was this weekend.
Well, because someone that's in the chorus, the choir, Gaiman's chorus with you, is gone to the retreat, and they had posted that they were in Indiana, I think, the state.
Yeah.
And they were like, "It's retreat time" or something like that, and I was like, "Oh, wait." I'm like, if that's this weekend, for a moment I thought maybe Damon's not going to be on the show. And then I was like, no, he's planning on being there. So I figured it had to do with the fact that you were not going to be in the one show. So
I'm not in the holiday concert this year, which is good and bad. I'll keep it like that. I like the break, but the holiday concert's always been one of my favorites. So because we do the retreat and it kind of brings everybody a little bit closer together, and it's the holidays, so it's always music I like. So, but not this year. Thanks, Smooth as Bearfast, for moving your weekend. Just saying.
Well, you know.
I have an excuse to get out. Unfortunately, I've got a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for work, I went out of the country. I went to Montreal. It was interesting. It was a very short trip. I flew out on Monday, flew back on Thursday. So everyone was like, "Did you have fun?" And I was like, "Well, it was work. It was paycheck work and non-paycheck work." So the reason I say it this way now is because Drench for Registration kicked off on November 1st on Wednesday. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But so when I wasn't working work, I was pretty much working on that. So it was it was a lot of that. But oh my god. Okay, so to tell you guys a little story. So this really should have been the earlier in the show. But anyways, I'm going to tell you an embarrassing moment that happened to me.
Oh, wait a minute.
So
I think I know what you're talking about. Gary, what did you do?
So when I flew out of my hometown, I had to fly to Philly and then have a brief layover and then fly to Montreal because there is no such thing as a direct flight into Montreal from where I live, understandably. So we fly to Philly. Because of project work and other things that I was doing, I did not get any sleep the night before leading into my flight to Montreal. And I figured, that's okay. My flights are about an hour to an hour and a half to 2 hours each, so I'll take a nap on each flight. So I flew from my hometown, here, to Philly. We fly into Philly. I had my eyes closed. I was kind of napping, whatever. And when we land in Philly, I hear the flight attendant over the, the little system in the little jet that we're in say that when we land in Philly that we're going to be at one terminal and most likely all of our connecting flights are going to be at the other far end of the, terminal gates. And that they have a shuttle, a ground shuttle that's going to take you around. Okay, not a big deal. My seat was, because it was booked for work, I don't really get to pick my seat, so it's done by a computerized system. So I'm in the back of the plane. I don't care. So I'm one of the last people to get off the plane. Get off the plane, get into the, the terminal, and I'm looking around, and I don't really see any signage, and I realize that the people that were in front of me are kind of leaving. And I'm like, well, shit, I don't want to lose wherever the hell I'm supposed to go. So I kind of follow them. And I'm following along, and I keep looking for signage that tells me where to go to get the connecting shuttle piece. And I'm not really seeing it, but what I do see is signage in terms of transport. It says ground transportation. And I'm like, all right, well, there's nothing that says anything about a tram or a monorail or, and I'm like, but she didn't say it was that. She said it was a shuttle, outside, and they're going to drive you basically around the building. And I thought, well, that's ground transportation. So I've ended up following. But the longer I keep following, towards the tail end of all these people moving, I keep thinking, there's something not right about this. So we get to a certain point, and I've never been to this airport before. So we get to a certain point, and you walk up, and there are these clear plexiglass saloon-style gates. So you can see through them. They're acrylic or plexiglass. But as soon as you walk up to them, they finally open, and then you're walking into this kind of weird corridor causeway and then there are doors on the other side. And this is when I walk through the first set, and I'm looking, and there are doors on the other side, and I look up and I realize that it says exit, and I'm like, I don't think I'm supposed to be going this way. So I pause, like I almost come to a full stop, and suddenly I hear this voice behind me, and this guy says, "Don't stop." And I'm like, what? He startles me, and he says, if you stop, the alarms will go off and TSA will show up. And I'm like, okay. Like, so now I'm like, what the fuck? Like, so I just keep walking, and I go through the other doors, and that's when I realize, I'm like, oh, now I'm on a bridge, like this connecting bridge between two of the terminal buildings. And it goes over top of, like, it's not a highway, but it's like the main, like, roads, you know, that go in and out of the airport. I'm like, all right, so I'll just keep walking. But my spidey sense is going off, like, I think there was a point of no return kind of moment. So I walk all the way across, and I'm following, and then I go down the escalator, and I'm paying attention, and I'm like, well, this is like baggage return. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is not where I'm supposed to be. So I continue walking, and I'm following, and I'm like, well, okay, so the shuttle's supposed to be outside, whatever. So I go and I walk outside, and I still see signs for ground transportation. But then I'm realizing, like, no, this is like pickups. Like, to leave. And I'm like, shit. I'm pretty sure I have left the airport.
Oh, no.
So I go back inside, talk to one of the, employees at the airport. She's explaining to me that I have to go back up the escalator, back across the causeway, whatever cross thing, indoor, human traffic bridge. I forget what you call those things. And I get to the other side, you have to take the escalator back down, and then you'll talk to the gate agents over there. Okay, fine. So I go and I do that, and I come back down, and then the gate agents are all like, yes, that's correct. You have to go back into the terminal, but you have to go through security first.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, well, where do I go? And they're like, well, you just go around the corner, and then you'll get in line with everybody else. Oh.
God.
So in other words, I have to go through TSA a second time.
Yes.
I did it here before I flew to Philly. Now I have to do it again in Philly. So I go and I get in line, and I'm explaining to, like, a couple of people that, like, I need to make my connecting flight. And so I need to get to the shuttle. And they're like, right, you just have to go through security. That's all, everyone, it's so easy. You just have to go through security. Yeah. So I get in line, and it's like, 35 to 40 deep. And they're only doing one person processing.
Yep.
So there is one person. Now, mind you, there's a couple of different intakes to this particular airport because it's a bigger airport. But at where I am, it's one single line. There is one person doing TSA check, the pre-check, with like your
boarding pass and
your ID, and then they have one machine running, and that's it.
Yep.
So it took me over a half an hour to get through this line to get back into the terminal. So I am texting one of my best friends who works for the company, and I'm like, I'm trying not to have a panic attack. And she's like, why, what's up? So I tell her, I'm like, it's a very long story, but I ended up outside the airport instead of getting into the shuttle like I'm supposed to go to. And now I'm back in TSA, like, waiting to get secure chain, like, examined or whatever, to be able to get into the terminal, to find where the fuck the shuttle is, and then get the shuttle to where I'm supposed to go. And she's like, well, what time is your flight? I'm like, the flight is supposed to leave at like 11 o'clock. And she's like, all right, so that's 40 minutes away. I was like, right. If they're on time, they're supposed to start boarding in 10 minutes. She's like, well, hopefully you'll kind of get through quickly. Now, this is the beginning of when I'm standing at the start of the line. So it takes me almost a half an hour to get through the line.
Oh, my God.
Right. So now it is, let's see, it was 40 minutes to the top of the hour. Now it's 10 minutes to the top of the hour. And I am like, fuck this noise. So like I don't even try to unpack all my stuff that I had shoved into the backpack. Like you're not allowed to have stuff in your pockets and all this kind of crap. So I turn around, and it's like, and I am like trying to briskly, as quickly as possible, walk through the terminal. And then sure enough, because I'm going the other direction, there's all the fucking signage that tells you where to go get the shuttle. But because my gate was number 4, F4, and the shuttle is between, like, gates, what is it, like F10 and F12 or some shit, it was behind me. So when I got off, I never knew I was supposed to go right, not left.
Oh, my God.
And the whole way you go left, there's never anything that says, hey, bozo, you're going the wrong direction. The shuttle's behind you.
Yeah.
So I hustle ass, get over to the shuttle, get on it. There's hardly anybody there. Get on the shuttle. I am like starting to breathe heavy. I have cotton mouth. I have no beverage because, of course, you're flying and liquids are an issue unless you buy something from inside. And then, of course, the shuttle has to stop at every terminal as it winds its way around the whole outside of the airport. And where am I going? Oh, that's right. I'm going from F to A. So from F to E to D to C to B and finally to A. We have to stop in between every single time because there's traffic, like things called planes and jets, and the luggage trucks and all the shit. So I'm just trying to remain calm the entire time and not freak out. We finally get to A, and of course, so then you go back inside the building, and then it's all right, where the heck is my flight? And of course, my gate is all the way at the end of A.
Yep.
So then I have to hustle, and I have to pee so badly. And I'm I'm not even going to dare stop because I'm probably going to end up fucking missing the flight. And I'm never going to make it to Canada, which is going to royally suck for work.
Yeah.
Because I was supposed to work a half day at the site. And so I'm I finally make it up. I get to the end where there's 8 gates, this weird kind of cul-de-sac hub thing, all the way to the end. And I realize there's a lot of people standing around. And I'm all right. And then I realize they're not boarding. So I compose myself, catch my breath for a moment, and then one of the crew members at the gate explains that we're delayed boarding because they're missing a member of the flight crew.
Oh.
Don't know what that's about, but apparently, part of the flight crew is missing. So I'm fuck this noise. I'm going to the bathroom.
Good.
I have to walk halfway back through all of Concourse A to find the first set of restrooms.
God, I hate that. That
airport is atrocious. And my best friend who I was reaching out to, she was yeah, it's the airport I hate the most to travel through. And I'm I am now right there with you, sister. So I have to walk halfway back through, finally go to the bathroom, then come back. And at this point, I was oh my God, I am dying of thirst. So I stop at a little kiosk and I get a big ass bottle of water and a pretzel because it's Philly and apparently Philly pretzels are a thing. But here's the thing. All the pretzels are already prepackaged. They're not hot. You know what I mean? It was just kind of this weird thing, but I hadn't eaten in probably 10 hours or something by this point. So I'm I fucking need
something in your stomach. Yeah.
So I turn around and I go and get the pretzel in the water. I'm hoofing it back to the gate because I just don't know when we're going to start loading or boarding or whatever. And I realize I don't know what the fuck I'm in a hurry for. Ain't nobody else around here in a hurry. So I sit my ass down. I eat the entire pretzel. I pretty much drink all the water. I'm chatting with my friend from work the entire time. I'm taking pictures of a guy in the airport sneakily who's sitting across from me that looks like Dozer asleep, and I'm sending them to Chester. And then they finally, start boarding. And of course, I'm in the last group or class or whatever the fuck. And we have pre-assigned seats. So I prefer Southwest. It's not assigned seats. Your bags are included.
Yeah.
Blah, blah. But instead, it's oh, we've got this whole thing. So, anyways, I go. I finally get on the plane. I get all the way. Sit down. Blah blah blah. And I just I'm one of those It's funny because when I went to the conference in New Orleans, one of the sessions I went to, they talked about travelers and how you can tell who the extroverts and the introverts are, the self-learners versus outside of themselves. And so the way it was described is if you go on an airplane flight and you see somebody who sits by a window, has a baseball cap on, sunglasses, earbuds, or a hoodie, is basically giving you all the nonverbals that they don't want to be fucked with. Don't talk to them, just leave them alone or whatever. That's me. Because I'm just here to travel. This is not social hour. I don't need to be engaged with a whole lot of people. I make a point of usually taking a window seat. I never go to the bathroom on a flight if I don't have to. I'm just there. And I would probably be the same way if I ever went by train or by bus or whatever. You know what I mean? I just want to be kind of left alone to my own thing until we get to the other end. And with flights, they're usually not that long for the most part. You're usually 2, 3, 4 hours, I think, on average. So you can pretty much not go to the bathroom within that time frame pretty good. So we leave Philly. We are now almost, 55 minutes late leaving from when we were supposed to. And then I kind of close my eyes, this and that. So we fly. We're approaching Montreal. And I kind of hear announcements, but I'm not quite fully paying attention because I'm tired. And then I, wake up because now we're starting our descent and we're, getting ready to land. And I noticed that the flight attendant staff had passed out a whole bunch of cards, like to a lot of people on the airplane. And it's for customs, for claims when you come into the country. Well, I didn't ask for one because, they didn't make sure that I had one. They didn't offer after I was awake, and they saw that I was awake. And then I thought, well, I don't have to claim anything. Like, I'm coming into the country, and I'm not bringing anything. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not bringing fresh fruit or, blah, blah, blah. So I arrive. We get to the Montreal airport, and then I, had a complete conniption because all I kept thinking of was my parents who were disabled. Because while the Montreal airport is very beautiful and very modern, I was completely flabbergasted by the fact that unless you knew ahead of time that you should have requested assistance for disability, you were going to walk nearly 3/4 of a goddamn mile to get from one end to the other. Wow. So you can go through customs. So you go down the escalator, you come down, and then it's like, it's a whole new world. I've not done this stuff before, and I've really traveled with a passport. I'm like, all right. So then you go and yes, I'm U.S. and okay, well then you go through the big fucking trench and snake line thing. You get over there, and there are all these mini ATM little setup machines, and you're supposed to have your shit scanned. Okay. So I'm literally doing the herd mentality thing, just watching other people. I'm like, oh, okay. You walk up and you press a thing and you stick your passport in. And then it asked me for the form. The form I don't have. And now they have full-time attendants that are always monitoring this area. So the woman comes over and she says, do you need help? And I said, yes. I said, is asking for a form. And she's like, correct, you need your customs form. And I was like, I don't have one. And she's like, oh, so I have to leave where I am, go over to a different station, get a form, fill it out with a little golf pencil thing. So I fill out the card, go back to a different station, get it to read my passport, stick the form in, and then it doesn't like it. It can't read what I wrote, apparently, so it's going to ask me the same 7 fucking questions on the form. So I have to answer the 7 questions on the screen that I already filled out.
Damn!
So I answered the whole thing. Wait, it gets better. I fill out the whole thing. I submit it. Do you know what it does? It spits out a new version of the form to me. It eats or keeps the one I filled out, and it spits out a new printout version. And then I'm allowed to go talk to the customs agent to get out of this section of the airport so I can take the escalator downstairs so I can go get my bags. I get my bags. There's nobody around. There's no signage. I'm like, okay, I guess I have to get a hold of the airport or the hotel, figure out how I'm going to get a shuttle there, whatever. So I go to leave, and that's when I realize you have to go further down, another 1/4 mile, and there's another set of customs agents. So I have to show the passport again, and then I have to show them the printout. And this time, the second set of customs agents, they keep the second printout. This is someone's idea of efficient bureaucracy, apparently. So I am just holy mother of everything. This was
why couldn't they ask? I mean, they've got the kiosk that actually ask the questions anyway. So is the first form to confirm the second form, and then give the second form to the other custom person so that you can get into the
Okay, so here's my theory on how this may be working. So normally they give you the form on the flight so you can fill it out, and if you pop it in the machine, everything's hunky-dory, then you don't have to go through answering the questions again. It just goes blink, and maybe it gives you kind of some sort of verification version of the thing to take to the next station, or maybe it doesn't print another one out or something. I don't know. I've never gone through customs, but the filling out on the screen may have just been, oh, we can't read your thing, so let's recreate it for you. Or it might have when you put it in, it verifies, goes bing, and then spits back out the form that you inputted.
Anyway, sorry, I'm just thinking it would make more sense to just go to the kiosk and fill out the form and then print the other one out. Anyway.
But wouldn't it be faster if you could just pre-fill it out while you're on the flight, pop it in, it goes bing, and then you don't even have to fill out another form on that screen. So,
right.
In this case, because it couldn't read it, it wanted to make sure that you had a proper form.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of variables we're not quite understanding. The human interaction piece is understandably a requirement because computers can't necessarily tell that I'm a terrorist or not, I guess. So, hence I'm talking to a real person. I don't know. So anyways, I go and I finally get out of the building.
Thank
And then I'm
God.
like, all right, so am I going to take an Uber or a taxi to the hotel? So I call the hotel. I ask them, I'm like, because it's a Holiday Inn airport hotel, so I'm thinking they should have shuttle service, and they confirm they do, and it will be there on the 15th, so
Okay.
quarter after or quarter till. Not a big deal, except for the fact that I missed it by like 5 minutes. So now I gotta wait
Half an
until
hour.
the next trip comes around. Then they pick me up, take me to the hotel. I get checked in. The ladies at the front desk are very, very nice. And as I'm walking through the hotel, I suddenly realize I'm in a fucking holodome. A Holiday Inn holodome. So for those of you that don't remember what a holodome is or have never seen one, Holiday Inn built them back in the 80s and they were fucking fantastic. It's a he's on my mind at the moment. Damon, the hotel that we go to in Indianapolis for Midwest Bear Fest.
Uh-huh.
You know how it has like an enclosed atrium, rooms on all sides
Yeah.
type thing? Think back to Caribbean Cove, the year they went to the one with the water park.
Uh-huh.
That building, that hotel property used to be a holodome.
Oh, okay.
So a holodome concept from Holiday Inn was way back before we called them staycations. It was you didn't really have to leave the hotel because they had a ton of stuff in it. The holodomes typically have a restaurant and a bar and a gift shop. They may have like conference center style banquet meeting breakout rooms, but the main thing of the holodome is it typically has a pool, sometimes a water feature, which this one did, and then it has like social areas and gaming areas. So back in the 80s, arcades were a big thing, but over the years they've changed them. So this one has foosball, air hockey, a billiards table. I'm trying to think. There's one other thing I'm forgetting that was in that area. I don't think it was ping pong, but I mean it had this whole section of stuff. It had a glass double side elevator that went to the 2 floors. What? So there's I know. I was so fucking ecstatic. I shot video. I sent it to Chester because he knows what a holodome is.
Oh, of course he doesn't send it to us to brag about
well, I don't
what he
know
was
if you guys
saying.
would have appreciated it. Because I was just being stupid about it. I was like, oh my god, I'm in a holodome. I was just so ecstatic about it. But I'm like, if people don't know what these things are, they wouldn't understand.
I would have been excited. So in future,
All right, I'll see if it's saved on my phone. But it's funny because they don't make them anymore. Now the whole industry shifted, and it's about what we call beds or heads in beds. So it's about having rooms with really decent to nice amenities, but it's not about anything else really within the building. So they don't really make them anymore. And I said to Chester, I was like, oh my god, this hotel would make a perfect host hotel for a fucking bear run. And then he made some smart comment about, are you going to move Drench further? And I'm like, hell, God, no. It's fucking 8 hours away.
Hell, the matter of getting all the way, getting through customs would just be enough to be like, oh, we're done for the weekend.
Yeah, really. So, yeah. So anyways, I'm kind of ecstatic about the fact, and so I make sure I get checked in my room. Then I leave, get the Uber, go to the site, meet the people, blah, 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 make a decent impression, come back to the hotel. I don't go out to eat because I'm like, I don't have time for this. I got to work on DF stuff. So I order room service. And because I couldn't tell from looking at the book, it was both French, English, but I couldn't tell what the menu was necessarily. It seemed like they had a static. I was like, fuck this. I'm just going to go to the front, the receptionist hostess stand at the restaurant and see if I can order through them, which I did. And Lolly, she was very nice. For someone who's close to my age, but had punk fire engine red hair and a nose piercing.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean it was kind of fun but cool. English is not her best second language, so it was fun conversation to try to order the food and stuff. Which was funny because I'm trying to order, and then I see that they have a dessert case behind her, and there is this gorgeous chocolatey looking thing. I don't know what it is. It's kind of looking like cake, and I have hardly eaten it all, so I am just completely ravenous to have to shove all the food in me. So I was like, I'm going to order beer. I'm going to order a big pasta dish.
I'm going to order poutine, and because it was on the menu, and I'm going to order that cake thing or whatever. So, and then they delivered it all to the room. Mind you, the other reason I didn't go out to eat was because we had a brunch for a committee meeting. So we do our, conference call, and while in the midst of the conference call, room service shows up. So I'm eating and just like snarfing down dinner while we're trying to have the call. It was a hell of a day, to say. Work, I'm not going to talk about the paycheck work too much, other than there's just a ton of stuff, and I don't know when it's going to let up. But we'll skip ahead to the next day. Chester had made 2 recommendations for places to me to go. Mark on Fire 40 had also made some recommendations. Unfortunately, he is not in Montreal at this time. He is in San Francisco with his fiance, Rob. So I didn't get to see him, and he was kind of bummed about that, but he gave me some suggestions. So on Tuesday night, I went to one of the 2 places Chester recommended. It's called Schwartz's Delicatessen.
Uh-huh.
Not a big deal, but I go. And so I get an Uber, and I get dropped off in front of it. And I'm kind of ecstatic because it looks like an older place. It's very small. It's like your typical Jewish deli. The outside of it, says Schwartz's, and then it says charcuterie, which I've known what that is. And usually when you go to some restaurants, it's kind of a thing now. You can get a charcuterie board, which is typically like cuts of meats and some cheeses, some dried fruits, that kind of deal. So I go in, there's a counter, and then there's a whole bunch of seats, and it's moderately busy, and it's just me, and I have my backpack with me, which has my laptop from work and some shit. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. I am dressed up for Halloween. Because it is Halloween, and I found out the day that I arrived when I went to the site that they were going to have you were allowed to dress up. And so I debated on whether or not to take a costume. So I went simple, and I wore my pirate stuff. So I have this silver hair cream product that allows you to do a temporary color change. So I did it on my beard and my hair and stuff, and then I wore my black pirate shirt and dress slacks, and took the 3-corner hat and the plastic dagger sword and all this shit, right? Beforehand, I also knew it was going to be a potluck, so I get an Uber to go to Walmart and pick up, stuff to take to the potluck. I am the only fucking person in daylight dressed up. So I'm running around like Saint Laurent, which is which is technically not Montreal. It's like a little village adjacent area. So I'm running around in public in a Walmart, and everyone's kind of giving me looks because I'm the only person that's dressed up on Halloween for fucking Halloween. Oh yeah, not awkward at all.
Silly American.
Yeah, exactly. Except when I checked out at Walmart, the cashier actually had some gore makeup on. So it was the only public saving graces. I was like, oh thank God, someone did a little something.
God,
so I check out, I get the Uber, go to work, and then I show up, and then I see there are some people dressed up at work, and I'm like, okay, good.
Oh, thank God.
So we do all of that, right? And then I go to the delicatessen afterwards. So I hide the hat in my backpack. I try to not ruin it, but kind of squeeze it in there because I don't want to wear it everywhere. But I'm still running around with silver beard, hair, pirate shirt, So I order food from the guy. Oh, by the way, French because it's the primary language in Montreal. Pretty much everyone's bilingual, and everybody in the customer service industries, hospitality, they're very good about speaking to you in English. So the guy asked me, about what I want in French, and then I asked him a couple questions, and he recognized I was an Anglophile. I'm English, American. So he started talking to me, in English. But I was so confused because everyone keeps talking to me about, because I said I was going there, and even Chester said it. He was like, you have to get smoked meat. What the fuck is smoked meat?
I don't know.
So I'm asking everybody, and they're like, it's smoked meat. Right. But what is this? So I explained this when I was over at the boys' house last night, right? Because we get it. In the U.S., meat is a category, and then you have types of meat. Beef, chicken, pork, cat. It comes from a cow, it comes from a snake, it comes from something And so the equivalency I could make it is barbecue. Barbecue is a preparation category method, and then you say it's barbecued pork or barbecued chicken. But in Montreal, they just call it smoked meat. So I was like, all I kept thinking is like, is it a reformatted meat like bologna or salami, like where you just throw shit together and make a new thing and then you smoke it? So I asked the guy, I'm like, well, you know, what's a small plate, large plate, blah blah blah, all this stuff. And I said, well, I said, what is smoked meat? And then he at first tries to say, well, it's, you know, smoked meat. And I kind of look at him, and then he thinks about it for a moment, and he did the best thing. He goes, it's like pastrami, but really it's more like corned beef. But it's prepared that style, but it's like not exactly the same.
Huh.
Oh, okay. Got it. So in Montreal, they call it smoked meat. Like, they don't think about the fact that they should describe the animal in any way. It's just, it is what it is.
The dish is referred to as just smoked meat.
Yes.
I would have just been, I would like some smoked meat and just been on with it. Because I don't care if it's chicken or pork or beef. I like all of those.
Yeah,
I like lamb.
He likes to know what he's putting in his mouth.
I'm very detailed. Right. I want to know what the thing is before I put it in my mouth. Thank you very much.
Sometimes I find out when I taste it.
So anyways, so I order and he says, but the smoked meat only comes as a sandwich. It doesn't come as part of the plates. Because they had other meats to choose from. And so you could make a platter, you know, like portions of meats and stuff. And I was like, oh, all right. So I ended up getting the smoked meat sandwich. And then I got poutine again. Because, you know, I'm in Montreal and I'm a fat boy that likes carbs and fat.
It's delicious, I'm sure.
It was good, but it was very interesting to see how the poutine is different. Same ingredients, just different. Like the gravy was different, you know, that kind of stuff. And then he talked me into getting a pickle, a cornichon, which is, and then I was like, are they sweet? Are they sour? And he's like, actually, it's a dill pickle. So if you've ever seen them, they're these huge, you know, dill pickles that are in jars or whatever. I got that in a Sprite, and then so I sit there and I'm just, you know, starting to eat my meal and stuff. And I had taken a seat at a six top because a lot of the other tables were full, and I didn't want to sit at the counter because I knew my backpack was a problem. Like if I wore it, it was going to bother people trying to pass me, and I didn't want to sit it on the floor. There wasn't really any room. And the one thing I learned about Montreal is a lot of the restaurants, unless it's preset seating like private booths, they tend to sit family style.
Okay.
So when other people come in, they may join your table.
Hmm.
And so because I'm by myself at a six top and a family of five came in, they filled up the rest of the table while I was sitting there, which wasn't a big deal. I think they were Portuguese because they were speaking what sounded like Spanish, but not quite. Mom, dad, 3 kids, 2 young boys, close to teenage, and then the youngest, I'm guessing, was their daughter, but I wasn't really sure because their youngest child was very gender neutral in a way. Very quiet, didn't speak a whole lot, so I couldn't really gauge. So they were sharing amongst their food. So while they sit down next to me about probably 5 to 10 minutes after I start eating, I noticed that the left wall next to me is covered in photographs that are framed. Photographs, articles, and the photographs are like a lot of celebrities.
Cool.
So I take a picture of my food because I'm a weird American person like that. And true.
Yeah.
I interest you in my pickle. That is not what the waiter said. And he wasn't my type. But anyway. So I'm looking and I'm like, oh wow, like this is really interesting. Tina Turner's been here. Ted Allen's been here. Joan Rivers has been here. Celine Dion has been here. Ed Asner. Like, so I'm trying to look around, and then there's some sports figures from like Canada I don't necessarily recognize. And then I realized, oh, there's another picture of Celine Dion, and there's a picture of Celine Dion and Renee, her now deceased husband, and there's a picture of Renee by himself. And I'm kind of like, wow, this is really kind of interesting. Like, they really like this place. Because most of the celebrities are only there once, and it's one of those like, hey, the celebrity's here, everybody gather around, let's take a picture. Cheese, and then, and then they, kind of sign it or, whatever. Or send them, a note and thank them for the great food and stuff. So it's a very, like, kind of family, down-to-earth environment, nothing crazy about it. So I post the second post on Facebook that I'm at this delicatessen, and I'm talking about like all the pictures, the celebrities have been here. It's kind of cool. But I noticed that Celine Dion has been here several times apparently, because the pictures are like kind of not over her career, but at different times, and she's with Renee and this and that, and then Renee's by himself, and now he's gone. So Mark turns around from San Francisco and says, "You know that she owns that, right?" And I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, that explains why she's been there.
I was like, are you pulling my leg? And he goes, no. It's well known. Like, I think there's 3 of them, and I think at the original one, and then there were 2 other ones somewhere else in Montreal. Apparently, from what he was saying, if I recall correctly, Celine and Renee, about 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, bought all 3 or whatever of all the group of the stores for like $11 million.
Wow.
And they apparently just wanted to own them, but like their names aren't on them or anything. It's not like, it's a celebrity thing. It's just they liked it so much that they bought them, apparently. So I can now say that I have eaten at a Celine Dion restaurant.
Nice.
Whatever the fuck that is. It's so crazy. I was like, oh, all right. That's pretty neat. Yeah. And then, so that was one of the kind of the highlights of things. And then I did eat out on Wednesday night. This was a place that Mark recommended. It was a bar. Everything that is on the food on the menu comes with bacon. So
my kind of place.
They have something called bacon balls, or bacon KD balls, I think they're called. It is mac and cheese balls with bacon in them that are deep fried. They were very yummy. I know. I would definitely recommend that. And then it cracked up because they had bacon dumplings. So I'm thinking bacon dumplings are like deep fried dumpling dough with bacon in it or something. No, that is not it at all. So you take vegetarian pot sticker dumplings.
Mm-hmm.
You deep fry them, not pan sear, not oven bake, not boil. Deep fry them. And then you put them on a plate, and you put them with kind of like a hoisin peanut butter, like Thai sauce. And then you sprinkle crumbled bacon over the top of them.
Wow.
So I thought, oh, I guess the vegetarian version is to just not put the bacon on top.
No bacon.
So that was interesting. It was part of the meal. And then I ended up going back to the hotel. While I was in Montreal, there are some very handsome men online. I will say that. And there are some pretty men out and about in the world. And I wanted really badly to have some fun while I was there, but I did not. There were three gentlemen. They know who they are. Not that they would probably know this podcast, but they had an opportunity. They just didn't take it, as far as I'm concerned. So
wow. Yeah, that is one thing I will say about Portland that was kind of awesome and like overwhelming at the same time. There are a lot of sexy guys like just walking around. I was when I was out with Robert and Mike at the Vietnamese restaurant we went to, like walking. We were near the windows and walking by the window. Oh, there's a cute looking cub, and there's a sexy looking bear, and there's a hipster that kind of has got a bit of a belly. It's just, and they're just like passing back and forth all the time. And I kept, and online and everywhere else, it was like all these different kinds of guys. And there was a lot of interest in me, which is a breath of fresh air. I will say that much. It's nice to have interest. Yeah, and maybe not. And I think there's other things too, but I definitely got the fresh meat aspect of it. Like, to the point of, honestly, sometimes it can be a little annoying. It's like, hey, I've got something to do. I can't take 20 minutes to go play with you. I'm sorry. Like, I'm out with friends, or I'm doing this, or I'm out to dinner, or.
Right, and I agree with you, Damon, because like guys were like hitting me up and stuff, and it's like, yeah, but I've got to work.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, oh, what are you doing in Montreal? How long are you here? I'm like, I'm here for a brief stay. I just arrived, whatever. I leave tomorrow. I leave in 2 days. I leave in Thursday. And they're like, oh, I'd like to meet up. And I'm thinking, all right. But the hard part is, and they're like, well, when are you available? And I'm like, 8 o'clock at night. Because, I'm busy working during the day. And
yeah.
trying to grab dinner, and whether or not I don't know if I'm going to go out with coworkers. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
a lot of stuff. And
A work trip is always different, and it's always hard to like plan fun times. I guess you would technically really have to plan it, as opposed to just like doing it on the whim, or maybe doing it on the whim after you've gotten back to the hotel and seeing what happens. But again, that kind of leaves you with what's available, which
well, and so like, what was it, Tuesday night? Yeah, it was Tuesday night. No, Monday night. I think it may have been Tuesday night. When I got back to the hotel, I don't know what the fuck was going on, but a man convention had moved in that night.
a man convention.
That's what I call it. Like when we take over a hotel and there's nothing but men everywhere, it was the exact same thing. I come in and like the lobby is full of men who work in some type of manufacturing like industry. They all look like they were lumberjacks that found a new profession. So they're kind of like semi-professionally dressed. They're rugged looking. Yeah.
Burly, big. Yeah. I had a lot of. There's a definite.
I was on high alert. Whoa.
Get on your growler. Figure out what's going on. Who's
right. No,
miles
and
away?
so
Who's 0.0 miles away?
Really, Chester? You just joined the chat apparently. Not sure where that comment's coming from. So
I think I had to deal with all the people you were like, when can we meet up?
yeah, really. Well, and then that's the other thing is because there were some hot guys in the hotel because you have, in order to get back up to the front of the building, I have to travel through the Holodome, the atrium section, which part of it, the restaurant is right next to it. So they have indoor seating in the restaurant and then they have outdoor seating that's part of the atrium, but it's like, blocked off. So you're always walking past people eating and drinking. And there were some hot guys that were like sitting in there. There was a guy that was sitting there next to a woman, and all I kept thinking was, I don't care if she's your wife, your cousin, your sister. It does not matter right now.
The thirst is real.
Oh my god! Right, and then so of course Drew or somebody, I think it was Drew, made a comment and was like, "Get on Growler, girl!" Get on stuff and all this shit. And I was like, none of them are on these apps. I checked. There's none of them were on Adam. For Adam, oh no. I was looking around. I'm like, there is nobody. The closest person is at least a mile away. I was like, what the hell? I am in a hotel full of
men, and none of them are homosexuals or are bears or whatever. What?
Or even on the DL, trying to look. So. Now, to be fair, I did not check Craigslist Montreal to see if there were any listings there, but. Yeah, no, it was even on Bear 411. I mean, shit, I was trying anything that had GPS mechanism. Trying to see if there's people.
Look, he tried already. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Where's the dick at?
I know, and it was so funny because part of me was like, man, this trip would have been something else if someone had come with me. Meaning, whether it was a friend or somebody. Obviously, they couldn't go with me to work, but they could have spent the day. Sightseeing, hanging out, whatever.
Uh-huh.
But so yeah, it was a pretty interesting, wild trip to go through, and then I almost didn't get back into the U.S. So so I go back. The flight and everything is fine. Getting to the airport, none of that is a problem. But customs. So now we do the reverse. So you have to have everything scanned, blah blah blah. No belt at the airport, all this kind of shit, right? So you get all your stuff, and then you have to go back through the whole new windy line.
Mm-hmm.
You have a different form of the printout thing or whatever. This one is auto filled out. So I turned around and get up to the customs officer, and these are American. So when you go into Canada, they're Canadian, but when you come back to the U.S., they're American. So I'm thinking this isn't that big of a deal. No. Plus, I know I'm not trying to bring anything into the country. I don't have contraband, And so this gentleman, waves me over, and I come walking up. He takes my passport and says, "Just, why? What was it? What was my purpose for being in Canada?" And I said, "Oh, I was here for business." And he said, "What was your business here?" I don't know why that question threw me off for a second. And I said, "My employer has a site here, so I was sent up to, I had to do some analysis on a project." And he's like, oh. He's like, well, what kind of work do you do?
Oh my god.
And I'm thinking, oh my God, like, okay, like I guess I'd never been asked those kind of questions, and I was like, what the fuck does this matter? Like, can I just go home?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, well, I said, technically my title is, HR organizational performance, and he kind of raises an eyebrow. I'm like, it's really instructional design. Nothing. Like, he's been Lake Placid the whole time. Like, I'm getting no reactions out of him. And of course, my personality is trying to be witty and funny, which is so not the thing to do apparently with customs agents. They're not having that. And so I think he just kind of doesn't respond to instructional design. I said, I write training materials for people when they start learning new tasks or they get hired for a job. And he's like, oh, okay. And he said, and your trip was successful? I said, yes. Like, at this point, I'm like, I don't understand what is happening. Like, so he's like, okay. He's like, well, enjoy your trip. Like, and he just hands me the stuff back. And I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, and I just travel through to get to the fucking plane.
I've only done convention, like customs once, and I was going from Buffalo to Niagara Falls, U.S. to Niagara Falls, Canada, and you have to go through to get on the other side of the thing. And again, it's very much coming back is worse in a lot of ways than going forward, because for some reason, like, they want to know why you went over there, even though literally, like, out the window you can see fucking Niagara Falls. like the only reason we're going over is to go look at the falls on the other side and maybe see the little, because they have, entertainment area nearby. And it felt like I'm being interrogated to go 20 feet.
Look, it's because we're American, they're American, and they're jackasses. Because Americans are jackasses, while Canadians are like, oh, welcome to the country. Yeah.
Well, I think it's...
Sorry for any trouble.
Yeah, I think it is a bit of interrogation. I think the questions are trying to sleuth out, like, who's trying to do harm, like, who's up to no good. And I guess because I am so not that...
Yeah.
And it's so obvious to me, because I know me, that I'm not trying to pull anything over. Like, I'm just like, whatever, like...
Yeah.
But it was kind of comical to me. What's your business? What was your business here?
What was your business here?
I was like, and at first I was stumbled, because then I gave him the name of my employer, because I didn't know what he meant. I was like, what? And then he just kind of made a face, and I was like, okay. Fine. Chester says they're trying to catch you in a lie. I mean, I could have been honest and been like, I'm here for work, but I was really trying to get some Canadian dick. But I'm not sure that would have gone.
And poutine.
And poutine.
I'm trying to get booty and poutine.
Yeah.
Booty and poutine.
And so, yeah, and then I got to fly back to Philly, and I had a 2-hour layover. I get to have Smash Burger for the first time.
Interesting.
If no one's ever had Smash Burger before, they're sort of noted for notoriety of having a really good quality burger. They were in the airport kind of food court area, which to me is an indication that they may not be as good as you think that they are. Only because, well, once they're in an airport, it's most likely not well controlled, and as opposed to like
a restaurant.
Yeah, like a standalone kind of restaurant. But anyways, I ended up getting their vegetarian avocado smash burger, which is a black bean burger. I will say it was very yummy.
Good.
And then I got their tots, their smashed tots, which they're really not smashed physically, but they are tots, and they come with rosemary and olive oil kind of soak or whatever, like flavoring type thing. So, true. My business was to get laid. I don't know.
What was your business successful? No, I didn't get any dick.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, I turned around and eventually ended up making it home. So yeah, it was a short, like, fast whirlwind kind of thing. I would love to be able to go back. I didn't really get any sightseeing in. I will say this one thing though. Holy cats. Okay, so because I didn't have a rental, because my company doesn't allow rentals in foreign countries. We had to either take taxi or a service of some sort. So I Ubered everywhere. All of my Uber drivers pretty much had this habit that was really starting to freak me out / annoy me because I didn't understand it. Apparently, turn signals are very optional in Montreal. And they drift. So, like, it finally occurred to me on the second night, I was paying attention when they were driving, and I thought, all the lanes are clearly marked nearly everywhere in this fucking city. And I don't think it helps. Because they don't stay in the lane. And it was on the second night the driver actually got someone to honk their horn at him because they were in the blind spot. And he was just drifting. He wasn't changing lanes. He was drifting. Just driving. And I kept thinking, oh my God, this is making me think. And this is such an ignorant, mental perspective. But it made me think like I was in a country where there isn't an organized transportation system and it's just bedlam, to get wherever you go. But it's not. It's Montreal and they have lanes and they're paved and they're clearly marked. But anyways, yeah, I was like, okay. So if I ever get to drive and I drive in Montreal, I have to be prepared to drive like I've never driven before.
Defensively.
Yeah, in a way, I guess. So it was pretty interesting. I was like, this is so strange, but yeah, no, it was a pretty good trip overall. I mean, I'm tired. It was tiring. I didn't get a lot of sleep. I still haven't necessarily gotten a lot of sleep due to the stuff that's happening and going on. And then I'm about to go away again for just this next coming weekend. So. Yeah, like I told people, I said back in, what was it, September or August? I said it's just gonna snowball.
Yeah.
Through the end of the year, I just feel like there's just shit and there's a lot of it going on, and it's just gonna keep kind of cascading and stuff. I do want to say this about travel, Damon. I think you and I did a little bit of prep before we left, in terms of thinking ahead about what I think I'm gonna do, what I want to do, what I plan to do. I took clothes that I did not wear in Montreal. I had work clothes. I had the Halloween costume as a backup, which I ended up wearing. But I also had street clothes. And Mark had given me names of a couple bars to go to. And he said, here are 2 bars I recommend. He said, this one, I'm not going to name it. He said, the clientele seems to be a little snooty. He's like, so to be honest, I prefer this other bar. And I wanted to go out to a bar, but it wasn't lining up. So I never wore my street clothes,
Yeah.
You try to plan for stuff, but you don't really get to do everything.
Like I brought some stuff to go out to the local Eagle. There's an Eagle here. Oh, there was an Eagle in Portland, and I wanted to go, but it was Saturday night, and there was going to be a big Halloween party called Scream, and I was like, I didn't bring a costume because I just didn't think about it. And then I went to Mutt and Glenn's and had dinner, and we're sitting there watching videos and talking, and whatever. And it's now, the party started at 9. It's now 10 o'clock. We're maybe 3-4 miles away. And I just, I'm telling myself, as much as I want to go, I don't want to go by myself. And there's a possibility I may have known a couple people there because I did go a few years ago. There's a possibility that they wouldn't know me or wouldn't remember me. And I just didn't want to feel that awkwardness of sitting in a bar that's packed with people and not really engaging with anyone and going into that. I tend to, even though I'm very outgoing in a lot of ways, if I don't know anyone, I have to give myself a little time to build up, and I just didn't feel like doing that. So even though I went to Mutt and Glenn's with the potential of going out and wore something kind of appropriate and brought a little leather harness that I have, I just decided not to go. It just didn't feel, I didn't feel up to it. Let's just be blunt. I didn't feel up to it. By the time we got back to my hotel, it was late, and I just was like, I don't feel like doing it. And so it always depends, but I brought stuff. I definitely brought 2 hoodies. I had my leather jacket just in case it was really hot or really cold. It fortunately didn't get that way. It was actually really nice weather in Portland for a change. Apparently the weekend before it had been rainy and cold and wet. This time around it was pretty much like 60s, 70s during the day and maybe 50s, 40s at night, and it was really nice. Sunny skies and what have you. So yeah, it always depends in regards to preparing for the trip, what to do. I brought several t-shirts thinking I would wear something during the day and wear something at night, and depending on where I was going, and didn't have that didn't really happen. I didn't go out as much as I was planning to, which is fun. When you go on a trip by yourself, you have friends that are there. Friday was the day that I kind of was out during the day and during the evening. Yeah.
Sorry, that's I have the windows open, so you're probably hearing stuff from outside.
I thought it was Jim at Damon's house, and I'm like, what is going on over there?
No, Jim's at work.
Okay. I was like, why is Jim? Is he doing a monologue? Like, what?
Look, I'm trying to keep my apartment at a temperature regulated to something that's comfortable without having to use the air conditioner. Which means open the window, which means neighbors start talking loudly outside. So, anyways,
yeah.
Hey, any final thoughts?
No.
Okay, so let's talk about Dick. Happy Monday! Even though it's
tomorrow.
Sunday, but as we record this.
Oh.
I thought it was pretty interesting. The only thing that, I mean, it's probably just like the soap, but I wonder why the water is. I'm not sure. Was that like fuchsia? I don't know.
It's an odd color, I will say that, but it actually highlights him pretty well, which is kind of cool.
Probably a bath bomb.
Yeah.
So bath bombs are these weird things that I've seen videos of where it's like a solid and you put it in bath water and it typically has a carbonate of some sort that fizzes and the whole thing breaks down and then it colors and puts scents and some ingredients in the water so it makes your skin soft and blah blah blah. That's gonna be my guess because yeah, I agree with you. It's very it's kind of like Calgon, take me away kind of thing is what makes me think of. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but it sort of looks like calamine lotion was poured into the water. So
yeah,
or almost Pepto-Bismol.
Pink stuff.
Well, it's cute. He's cute. It's a good picture.
It was more for the guy.
I want to know how people get these ceiling shots done. Like on Tumblr, I keep seeing these pictures of them in bed, and I'm like, how do you get the camera the pictures from above thing? I don't understand that part.
Another person's taking the picture. I mean, in this one, in case it wouldn't be too hard. They would just be outside and have the phone or camera over it or something.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's ways. Maybe that's a question for Chester, but yeah. So that's mine. And he's like a Latino gentleman, it looks like. Very handsome.
All right.
Wow.
Moving on. Damon, what do you got?
Okay. I have, in honor of the Halloween that has passed, I have Thor that wants to get hammered. It's a very sexy red-haired cub it's a Thor t-shirt of some kind with a cape attached and he's holding the hammer. And then you look forward and he's got a nasty pig jock on and then you get to see his butt and he's cute and yeah.
And Damon, did you see what the tattoo signature is on his butt cheek?
Oh, it's a Dor Delano. I didn't see that. Nice.
Is that not fucked? I was like, what? I'm like, oh my god.
I didn't see that.
I'm pretty
until
sure
just
that's
now.
a Lord Delano is the signature. So yeah.
He must be a fan.
Uh-oh. Chester, you can't do...
What?
He's doing a Tumblr pic in the chat while we're like doing the show. We're not here as a host today.
So here's so I'm just gonna add this to the doc for Chester. At Kim Tiger earning his stripes, and it's a picture of him and whoever at Kima Tiger. Is basically giving Chester his hash mark.
Yes.
One of, yeah.
Yay! Which I already saw that earlier today, which is kind of funny. Kima Tiger is adorable. I would give you props for that.
So we just happened to also get a link from Chester for our show notes.
Thanks, Chester. That's random.
Very random, but anyways,
it's a cute picture. He's adorable.
Yep.
So
and Chester's adorable too, but
yeah, well, that's a given. Anyways,
yeah.
My Tumblr pic doesn't have a title, so it's the name of the Tumblr blog poster. It's SF Dominator, capital S, capital F, all lowercase Dominator.
SF, not SM. Dominator.
Yes, SF as in San.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Oh. Well, hello.
Yeah, when I saw this, I was like, Demon's going to enjoy this one.
Yeah. This trips all the triggers.
Yep.
I was like, this black and white impromptu photo of a shirtless daddy with aviator sunglasses, the Leatherman's cap, nose piercing. He's got like a necklace or two necklaces, I'm not sure. He's got a tat on his, I think this is his left shoulder, which is closest to the camera lens. I don't know what that is, but it makes me think of Hellfire, but I don't think it's the Hellfire logo.
I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
But I'm sure Chess or Tony would be able to tell us if they knew. And he's smoking a pipe. Yeah, he is he's the epitome of everything of a leather daddy, like Dom. It's a beautiful black and white photo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Woof, and reblog.
Yeah.
Moving on into the links. So at BlizzCon, of course, World of Warcraft announced their next expansion. And our third raid isn't even out for this one, but that will be out soon, I'm sure. It's called Battle for Azeroth is the name of the expansion, and I'm including the cinematic trailer, which is basically the cinematic version of what we should be seeing something about it in game. The Battle of Lordaeron, basically what's above the Undercity, the home of the Forsaken, which is Lordaeron was a human kingdom, and so the Alliance is trying to take it back. I mean, we don't know the full story about what's going on, because what's not shown in the cinematic is that somehow at the beginning of all of this, Teldrassil, the home of the Night Elves, a giant tree off the coast of Kalimdor, was burned to the ground. So we don't know what happens first. But this is the battle. We get to see both leaders, the leader of the Horde, Sylvanas Windrunner, as she does her war chiefly duty and leading the battle, and even inspiring people. She does this her whole banshee move and goes for the Horde, and then everybody's motivation just gets But then after that, the alliance is going. But Anduin Rin, the boy king, now an actual man king, he's all grown up. But he's not really a fighter like his dad was. But he has his sword because of inheritance, of course.
Oh.
And he has this whole but he's more of a priesty guy himself. So he's seeing all this devastation that's happening to his people, and he looks down at Charlemagne, the sword, and he's like, "This won't help me right now." So he throws it to the ground and just puts his hand up into the air and calls upon the power of the light, and it's like it's like healing dome covers all the alliance people. They get back up, and the fight continues. Watch it. It's freaking amazing.
Cool.
But I'm excited for this new expansion because there's going to be 6 new races. So, but they're called ally races, so you have to earn access to them. You don't just automatically get access with the new expansion. Anyways, that's my pick.
Cool.
Nice.
Damon?
Wait. There we go. Okay. I thought I had muted myself, but I didn't. So one of the things I did watch with my friends Matt and Glenn was this thing called ASDF. It is apparently made by a YouTuber named Tom Ska, and this one is all of the animated ones. It is hilarious as hell. It's very, just the humor is just very good, and I loved it. And we were watching it, and I was laughing my ass off the entire time we were watching it. Look out for the muffin, and I will give you, and the train, and those are, it's through. You'll see it throughout all of them. This is the only 10 that are out there, so it's a complete series that someone put together, and it's just fun. So funny and fun and entertaining. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
It's funny. That's all I can say. I don't want to. You have to, again, you have to watch it in order to enjoy it, and obviously we can't watch it while we're podcasting.
Right.
But it's hilarious.
Oh, it can.
I was giggling while we were preparing for the show, just because I every time I get a chance to watch it, I find something else that's funny. Yeah.
Nice.
That's my pick. Gary.
Cool. All right, so I have 2 YouTube videos. So when I went to Kentucky this past month and I stayed with Chess and Joe, they introduced me to a singer I was not familiar with called LP, Laura Pergolesi. She is an American alternative singer-songwriter. She's originally from Long Island. She performs under the name LP, moved to LA in 2010. She's released a couple of albums. More interestingly, about her background, she has written for Cher, Rihanna, the Backstreet Boys, Christina Aguilera, and others.
Nice.
Before she really kind of started her solo career. She is Italian. She is a lesbian. And she has an amazing singing quality, and I am completely fucking enthralled and addicted to her now. So in my picks are 2 music videos. The first one is called Tokyo Sunrise, which is an original composition of hers from I think 3 years ago, and it's one of Chess's favorite songs of hers. If you know about Chess's background, he spent some time abroad in Japan. And so he just really likes it. And it's got this thing of an earworm for me, once I listened to it. Her album this is on is available through Amazon Prime. So I've been listening to the shit out of it. And if you want to listen and watch to a great fucking rendition cover, the second link is Beyonce's Halo. This is from 5 years ago. It's a live performance. It's a great shoot of a video. It's done in black and white. It's at a crazy cool kind of studio with a live audience.
There is a gorgeous ginger bear up front. Bear cubby that really gets into the music. As you're watching him, he like his head bobs, he moves around, like he is all about it. It's so funny because that's what Chess and Joe were pointing out. They were like, watch this guy. Like if you didn't know any better, you would swear he is like gonna shoot in his pants. Like he is just down with her performing and stuff. It's and then I called out that he was on his phone at a certain point. And they were like, well, and I was like, no, I could tell by the angle. Like his head's looking down. He's not looking at her anymore. Like the body posture, like I guarantee that son of a bitch has a cell phone in his hand. He was like texting people or Instagramming or something at that moment because he was probably so excited about like being there for the live video and shoot and stuff like that. But now, so yeah, it's my thing. It's my jam right now. I mean, outside of Kelly Clarkson's new album. So. Yeah. But this is a whole new artist for me I'd not seen or heard of before, and I'm very much like grateful to Chess and Joe for introducing and stuff. So now I'm like, I want to see like if she continues to do good things and that kind of stuff. I'm very happy about it. But seriously, even if you're not really like if you don't necessarily care for her original stuff, check out this video of Halo because it's got this great because it's over 7 minutes. So it's not like the radio edit version. She just keeps going, and the band, like, it just builds, like, symphonically, even though it's not an orchestra. Like, it's a standard band, and, yeah.
Nice.
Wow. Nice.
I have, those are my links, my picks.
Excellent. Hey, guess what, folks? That's the end. Oh. Always got task. You can pop over to our website, cubsoutloud.com. Shoot us an email at cubsoutloud@gmail.com. Leave us a sexy voicemail or otherwise at 361-COL Talk. That's 361-265-8255. Follow us on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, Google+, and YouTube at Cubs Out Loud in the appropriate place of the URL. Join the Bear Underground, the official Bear website of Cubs Out Loud. There is a Cubs Out Loud interests where we will be posting all of our updates, and you can post conversations about the show or whatever in there that you would like.
Yeah.
You can rate us on iTunes, subscribe to us at Google Play Podcasts, and give us a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio. Also, don't forget our Zazzle store at zazzle.com/CubsOutLoud and find some great Cubs Out Loud merch. You can find me anywhere on the internet as Box Tech, Box Puppy, Box Cub, Box something or other.
I am Theater Cub 79 on Bear Underground, Growler, Tumblr, HeftyNet, what have you, and also you can find me as Pup_Umbra on Twitter.
If you want to find me anywhere on the web, I'm pretty much known as GarBear73. That's GARBEAR73. Hey, and we don't always necessarily give you guys shout-outs, but I can't recall, but Chester even posted to us in our Facebook chat that he was in St. Louis at Hibernation this week. Or weekend, and someone recognized him on an app and was like, hey, you're part of Cubs Out Loud, right? Or something like that. So, we appreciate that. Like, if we're out and about and you see us, or if you happen to spot us online, by all means. I know I sometimes get it, but I guess I'm trying to also apologize for not always remembering to name you after the fact. If we see you in person or whatever, so.
And most likely, we would love to give you a hug. At least.
Yeah, like come up and chat with us. Probably one of the better things would be to do, honestly, is to get a picture with us so we can post it and tag it.
Haha.
So,
there you go.
Yeah.
Don't forget to take a selfie. With that, say good night, everybody!
Good night, everybody!
Have a good one, y'all.
So, quick question. Like, totally kind of random. Everything. Is it still a mohawk if it doesn't, like, go all the way down the back of your head? Like, it just goes to the top and then, like... Because I got, like, a colic or some weird thing in the middle of my head that everything is always flat, so it makes it all weird and stuff at that point.
Huh. I don't know.
So I kind of stopped it there and just shaved the rest of my head. Or is it still a mohawk?
I guess it could be. I mean, it would be kind of a mohawk. I don't know.
Or is that really a mohawk and having it down the back is kind of optional?
I don't know.
Because when you think about, like, back in the olden days, like in the 80s or something, you remember people with mohawks with the really huge mohawks?
Yeah.
But it wasn't like a complete ridge across, like, the top to the back of their head. It was just at the top, on the top of their head, so... I don't know.
I would say... I mean, you could look up a true definition online, but I think anything that comes from the crown front, at least to the back, not all the way down the back, but if it comes pretty much to the top of the back of the crown of your head, it's a hawk. Like, you know, how tall it is, how thick it is, how, you know, full, whether it's spiked up or whatever, I think that counts. I mean, I will say this, I think it's more punk, at least what I call punk from when we were younger, to see somebody who does the full, like, you know, 6'8", you know, inch spike, you know what I mean, or fan blade all the way back and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just kind of depends. I mean, my cut style is pretty, you know, in line with that, but it's done in a way that, like, it's meant to, like, kind of comb to the side. But at Drench Fur this year, I, you know, put that silver color and stuff in it and styled it in a way so it was legitimately looking like a mohawk. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean,
guess it would depend.
Yeah.
I think you're fine if you're wondering about, like, what is it? Yeah, I think you're cool with whatever you've got, you know.
Yeah, all it says is the mohawk, also referred as a Mohican, is a hairstyle in which, in the most common variety, both sides of the head are shaven, leaving a strip of noticeably longer hair in the center.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, then in that case, I think it all counts.
Yeah.
You're going to have to get on the back. Okay.
Today. Ta-da.
Okay. Hey, this is the way I look at it. It's your fucking hair.
True that.
I mean,
that's my other thing, too.
I mean, my mom and I kind of got into this earlier this year, I think it was. She said something about, she thought I'd shaved my head. And I was like, what does it matter? Like, it's my head and it's hair. It'll grow back. Or maybe not. Like, I mean, it was like, it was just one of these things. I mean, like, you know, there's something to be said for being professional, like in your work and stuff. Like, I kind of thought about that when I went on this work trip because I haven't traveled in a little while. And I was like, I mean, I got my ears pierced when I was 30. So I've had these piercings for going on 14 years. And I don't think about them, but they're there. And at the time that I got them, that was a decision I had to think about, was this may be job impacting. Like, in the corporate culture, this may or may not necessarily limit you. And so now I think the culture's relaxed a lot unless you're moving high up. And then if, you know, depending on what your business is, if you're going to end up in C-suite, you know, and you're going to be like at the VP level and above, then there might be some expectation that you dress more professional and your look is more professional. But like I was just saying last night, we went, you know, Vince took me to the, you know, what we call a get-go to order some food, and I complimented the girl on her hair. It was this gorgeous, like, violet purple color. And I had a little bit of like a pink hueish kind of like unintentional ombre in it because some of it was like fading. And I just said, hey, I just want to compliment you on your hair color. I think that's pretty awesome. Like, and that's becoming a thing now. Like, younger people are just being more authentically themselves, I guess, or bold about coloring their hair, dyeing it, doing rainbow shit, and all kinds of stuff. And Vince mentioned that. He said, you know, that, yeah, there was a time, you know, 5-10 years ago,
if you wanted to do that, you recognized your job options were probably pretty limited.
Yep.
And that you may not be hired or whatever. But now, it's kind of a different story. You know, people aren't necessarily as I don't know. I don't want to say ignorant, but as focused on not.
This became a
stuff.
much deeper conversation than I originally intended when I started. I wanted to know: is this still considered a mohawk? And I'm going to stop streaming now.